The mansion stood quiet on the hill overlooking the city, its tall windows reflecting the evening sun. Inside, Khalil Nasser sat behind his large wooden desk, reviewing documents with sharp, careful eyes. He was a powerful man, respected and feared in equal measure, running a business empire that most people only whispered about in fear. Khalil had grown up far from this city, in a different world entirely, where his family's name carried weight and history. He had built his organization here from nothing, careful and calculated in everything he did. Trust was rare in his world, and he gave it to almost no one outside his closest men. That morning, his housekeeper of many years had suddenly quit, citing personal reasons, leaving the large mansion without proper staff. Marwan, his most trusted assistant, arranged for a replacement quickly through a private agency, someone with excellent references and a quiet, humble background. "Her name is Layla," Marwan said, placing a folder on Khalil's desk. "Local woman, hard-working, comes highly recommended. She starts today." Khalil barely looked up from his papers. "Fine. Just make sure she understands the rules. Certain rooms are off-limits. Certain conversations are not her business." "Of course," Marwan replied. "She seems simple enough. Quiet, keeps to herself." Later that afternoon, Layla arrived at the mansion, carrying a small bag with her few belongings. She was quiet and reserved, her eyes taking in the grand hallways and expensive furniture with careful, guarded curiosity. She had learned long ago to keep her expressions neutral, her true thoughts hidden carefully behind a calm, humble exterior. What nobody in that mansion knew was that Layla's background was far more complicated than the simple, local woman described in her agency file. Years ago, before circumstances forced her into a quieter, humbler life, she had spent much of her childhood between two different countries, raised by a family fluent in both English and Arabic. Life's difficult turns had eventually stripped away her comfortable past, leaving her working simple jobs to survive, always keeping her true history carefully hidden. She had taken this housekeeping job simply out of necessity, needing steady income after months of financial struggle. She had no idea, walking through those grand mansion doors, exactly whose house she had entered. Marwan greeted her formally, giving a brief tour of the areas she was permitted to clean, carefully avoiding certain private rooms and Khalil's main office entirely. Layla listened quietly, nodding along, appearing every bit the simple, humble housekeeper everyone expected her to be. "Mr. Nasser values privacy greatly," Marwan explained firmly. "Certain rooms remain locked. Certain conversations, if you happen to overhear anything, are not your concern. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Layla replied simply, her voice calm and unassuming. "I understand completely." Marwan studied her briefly, satisfied by her humble, obedient demeanor, before leaving her to begin her daily duties. That evening, while dusting quietly in the hallway near Khalil's office, Layla overheard voices from within, the door slightly ajar. She recognized immediately that the conversation had shifted into Arabic, spoken quickly and confidently by several men gathered inside. Most people in that mansion would have simply continued their work, uninterested or unable to understand a language foreign to them. But Layla froze immediately, her heart suddenly racing, understanding every single word clearly and completely. "The shipment arrives Thursday night," Khalil's voice said firmly in Arabic from within the office. "Salim will personally oversee security. No mistakes this time, understood?" "Understood," another voice replied firmly. "And the informant issue, has that been resolved?" "Handled," Khalil replied coldly. "Permanently." Layla's breath caught in her throat, her cleaning cloth freezing mid-motion against the hallway table. She understood immediately the seriousness, the danger hidden within those simple, confident words spoken in a language they assumed no one around them could understand. She quickly composed herself, resuming her quiet dusting, careful not to draw attention despite her racing heart and the sudden flood of anxious thoughts running through her mind. She needed this job desperately, yet she had just unknowingly stumbled into something far more dangerous than she ever anticipated. Minutes later, the office door opened fully, and Khalil stepped out, his sharp eyes immediately noticing the quiet housekeeper nearby. He studied her briefly, his expression unreadable, though clearly assessing whether she posed any threat or concern. "You," he said simply, his tone commanding yet neutral. "You're the new housekeeper?" "Yes, sir," Layla replied, keeping her voice steady and calm despite the anxiety twisting inside her. "Layla, sir." Khalil studied her for a long moment, his sharp eyes searching carefully for any sign of understanding, any indication that she had comprehended anything from the conversation just overheard. Layla remained perfectly still, her expression carefully blank, years of hidden practice allowing her to mask her true feelings effectively. Satisfied by her apparent ignorance, Khalil gave a small nod. "Make sure my office is properly cleaned each morning, but never touch the desk directly. Understood?" "Yes, sir. Of course," Layla replied simply, bowing her head slightly in respectful acknowledgement. Khalil walked away without further conversation, completely unaware that the quiet, humble housekeeper standing innocently in his hallway understood every dangerous secret exchanged within his private office. As his footsteps faded down the hallway, Layla allowed herself a single, quiet breath of anxious relief, her mind racing with the sudden, dangerous knowledge she now unexpectedly carried, knowledge that could either save her or place her directly into deadly danger, depending entirely on how carefully she navigated the dangerous secret she now unknowingly held. Days passed quietly at the mansion, each one filled with careful routine for Layla. She cleaned diligently, spoke only when necessary, and kept her eyes lowered respectfully whenever Khalil or his men were near. On the surface, she appeared exactly as everyone expected, a simple, humble housekeeper focused entirely on her daily tasks. But beneath that calm exterior, Layla's mind raced constantly with anxious thoughts. Nearly every day, she overheard fragments of dangerous conversations happening within Khalil's office, conversations spoken confidently in Arabic by men who never once suspected she understood a single word. She learned about shipments, about rival organizations, about careful business arrangements that clearly existed outside the boundaries of normal, legal operations. Each new piece of information added weight to the growing guilt pressing heavily on her conscience. She desperately needed this job to survive, yet the dangerous secrets accumulating in her mind grew more troubling with each passing day. One afternoon, while carefully dusting shelves near Khalil's office, she overheard a particularly tense conversation between Khalil and Marwan. "The Alvarez family is asking questions," Marwan said seriously in Arabic. "They suspect our involvement in last month's shipment problem." "Let them suspect," Khalil replied calmly. "Suspicion means nothing without proof. Make sure nothing connects directly back to us." "And if they discover Tariq's involvement?" Marwan asked cautiously. "Tariq understands the consequences of failure," Khalil said coldly. "If he becomes a liability, we'll handle it accordingly." Layla's hands trembled slightly against the shelf she was cleaning, the casual coldness in Khalil's voice sending a chill through her body. She quickly steadied herself, continuing her work with practiced calm, though her mind screamed with anxious awareness of the dangerous world she had unknowingly entered. That evening, exhausted from the constant anxiety of hiding her secret, Layla sat quietly in her small staff quarters, staring blankly at the wall, wondering how much longer she could continue this dangerous balancing act. She thought about leaving entirely, finding work elsewhere, away from the constant dangers surrounding Khalil's world. Yet something kept her rooted in place, an unexplainable pull she couldn't quite understand herself. Perhaps it was simple financial necessity. Perhaps it was something else entirely, something she wasn't ready to admit even to herself. Meanwhile, Khalil found himself unexpectedly curious about his new housekeeper. She was quiet, respectful, efficient in her duties, everything he expected from household staff. Yet occasionally, he noticed small things that didn't quite fit the simple background described in her employment file. She moved through the mansion with quiet confidence, unlike typical nervous new employees. Her posture, her calm demeanor, even the way she carefully organized his office supplies, suggested someone accustomed to environments far more complicated than simple housekeeping. "Marwan," Khalil said one evening, calling his trusted assistant into his office. "Tell me more about our new housekeeper's background." "Local woman, as I mentioned," Marwan replied. "Grew up here. Worked various simple jobs before this position. Nothing unusual in her file. Run a more detailed background check, Khalil instructed carefully. Something about her doesn't add up. Do you suspect she's a threat? Marwan asked, concern clear in his voice. I'm not sure yet, Khalil admitted honestly. But in our business, uncertainty itself is dangerous. I'd rather be cautious than careless. The following day, Khalil decided to test his suspicions directly, though subtly enough to avoid drawing obvious attention. During a private meeting with two of his men, he deliberately mentioned false information in Arabic, information designed specifically to test Layla's reaction if she happened to be nearby. As expected, Layla was quietly dusting furniture near his office when the conversation began. The new shipment location has changed, Khalil said casually in Arabic, watching carefully from the corner of his eye for any reaction from the housekeeper nearby. We're moving everything to the old harbor warehouse instead. Layla's hands paused for just a fraction of a second, her mind instinctively processing the information despite her best efforts to remain neutral. She caught herself quickly, resuming her dusting with practiced calm, though her heart pounded nervously in her chest. Khalil noticed the brief hesitation, subtle as it was, his sharp eyes catching the slight pause in her movements. Suspicion sharpened immediately within his calculating mind. Interesting, he murmured quietly to himself once Layla had moved further down the hallway, out of immediate earshot. That night, Khalil sat alone in his office, reviewing Layla's employment file once more, searching carefully for any inconsistency he might have previously overlooked. Something about her calm, subtle reaction troubled him deeply, sparking suspicion he couldn't easily dismiss. Meanwhile, in her quiet staff quarters, Layla lay awake, anxiously replaying the moment in her mind. She was certain Khalil had noticed her brief hesitation, however slight. Panic gripped her chest as she considered the dangerous possibility that her carefully hidden secret might soon be exposed. She thought again about her original reason for taking this job, a reason far more complicated and personal than simple financial necessity. Her past was deeply connected, in ways nobody in this mansion yet realized, to the dangerous world Khalil controlled so carefully. As sleep finally overtook her exhausted mind, Layla couldn't shake the anxious feeling that her carefully guarded secret, along with the true reason she had entered Khalil Nasser's dangerous world, was dangerously close to being discovered. And in his private office down the hallway, Khalil made a quiet decision, his sharp mind already calculating the best way to uncover exactly who his mysterious new housekeeper truly was. Morning light filtered through the mansion's tall windows as Layla moved through her usual routine, her mind still heavy with worry from the sleepless night before. She tried to appear as normal as possible, though every glance from Khalil's men now felt like it carried hidden suspicion. Khalil watched her carefully throughout the day, saying little, but observing everything. He had built his entire career on reading people accurately, sensing lies and hidden truths long before they fully revealed themselves. Something about Layla's brief hesitation the previous day continued nagging at his careful mind. That afternoon, he decided to test her more directly. He called Marwan and another trusted man, Rashid, into his office for what appeared to be a routine business discussion, deliberately leaving the door open just enough for sound to travel into the hallway where Layla often cleaned around that time. I've decided, Khalil said clearly in Arabic, watching the open doorway carefully from his desk, that Layla, the new housekeeper, needs to be let go immediately. Something about her makes me uneasy. Marwan glanced up, surprised, clearly not expecting this sudden decision, though he remained silent, understanding immediately that Khalil was testing something specific. Outside in the hallway, Layla's heart dropped instantly upon hearing those words, panic flooding through her chest. Losing this job would be devastating, especially now, especially before she had accomplished what she originally set out to do. Her hands trembled slightly against the vase she was dusting, her calm composure slipping for just a brief, dangerous moment. She quickly caught herself, forcing her expression back into practiced neutrality, though her mind raced anxiously, wondering if she had already given herself away completely. Inside the office, Khalil watched carefully through the small gap in the door, his sharp eyes catching the brief, telling reaction from Layla in the hallway mirror positioned conveniently nearby. His suspicion solidified instantly into near certainty. She understood Arabic. She understood every single word. Yet he said nothing immediately, choosing instead to continue observing carefully, wanting concrete confirmation before confronting her directly. He dismissed Marwan and Rashid shortly after, his mind now fully focused on unraveling exactly who his quiet, mysterious housekeeper truly was. Over the following days, tension between them grew subtly but noticeably. Khalil found himself watching Layla more closely than ever, no longer simply out of suspicion, but with a curiosity he hadn't expected to feel. Despite the danger she potentially represented, he found himself intrigued by her calm intelligence, her quiet strength hidden carefully behind humble simplicity. Layla, sensing his increased attention, grew increasingly nervous, yet also found herself unexpectedly drawn to moments when their eyes briefly met across the mansion's grand hallways. She recognized something familiar in his sharp, calculating gaze, something that reminded her uncomfortably of her own carefully hidden past. It was during this tense period that Layla's true reason for entering Khalil's world became clearer to her own conflicted heart. Years earlier, her older brother had been involved peripherally in a similar dangerous world, eventually disappearing without explanation after a business conflict connected loosely to organizations like Khalil's own. Her family had never received answers, never learned exactly what happened to him. Only rumors and unconfirmed whispers suggesting betrayal within a powerful organization, much like the one Khalil now controlled. She had taken this housekeeping position originally, hoping quietly to uncover information, any small clue that might finally explain her brother's mysterious disappearance years ago. She never expected to become genuinely conflicted about the powerful, dangerous man she originally intended simply to investigate quietly from the shadows. One evening, as Layla organized files quietly in the mansion's library, Khalil entered unexpectedly, closing the door softly behind him. Layla's heart raced immediately, sensing the seriousness in his expression. "Layla," he said calmly, his voice carrying quiet authority, "I think it's time we spoke honestly." She turned slowly, keeping her expression carefully neutral despite the anxious pounding in her chest. "Of course, sir. Is something wrong?" Khalil studied her carefully, his sharp eyes searching hers directly. "I've noticed something interesting these past few days," he said slowly, deliberately switching suddenly into fluent Arabic. "You understand every word I'm saying right now, don't you?" Layla froze completely, her carefully practiced composure finally shattering under his direct, unexpected confrontation. She realized instantly there was no point denying it any further. "Yes," she admitted quietly, responding hesitantly in Arabic herself, her voice trembling slightly. "I understand completely." Khalil's expression remained calm, though clearly satisfied by finally confirming his suspicion. "How long have you understood our conversations?" "Since the beginning," Layla admitted honestly, deciding truthful vulnerability was safer now than further deception. "Since my very first day here." Khalil studied her intently, processing this confirmation carefully. "And yet you said nothing, pretended ignorance this entire time. Why?" Layla hesitated, torn between revealing her true purpose and protecting her family's painful secret any further. "I needed this job desperately," she said carefully, only partially truthful. "I was afraid revealing my language skills might jeopardize my position here." Khalil's sharp eyes studied her carefully, clearly sensing there was more to her story than she was currently revealing. "There's more you're not telling me," he said quietly, his tone neither accusing nor threatening, simply direct and calculating. Layla remained silent, uncertain how much truth she could safely reveal without endangering herself further. "I intend to find out exactly what you're hiding, Layla," Khalil said finally, his voice calm but resolute. "One way or another." As he turned and walked calmly from the library, Layla remained frozen in place, anxiety and fear mixing uncomfortably with an unexpected flicker of something else entirely. A dangerous, complicated attraction toward the very man she had originally intended simply to investigate from a safe, cautious distance. That night, Khalil ordered Marwan to dig deeper into Layla's true background, no longer satisfied with the simple, surface-level file the agency had originally provided. He wanted real answers, and he wanted them quickly. By the next morning, Marwan returned to Khalil's office with a thicker folder and a troubled expression. "Sir, this took some digging, but I found something important," Marwan said seriously, placing the folder on the desk. "Layla's real surname isn't what she listed on her application. Her actual family name is Haddad." Khalil's expression shifted instantly, recognition flickering across his sharp features. "Haddad," he repeated slowly. "That name is familiar." "It should be," Marwan said grimly. 10 years ago, a man named Omar Haddad worked briefly within our organization during your father's time running things. He disappeared suddenly after being accused of leaking information to a rival family. Your father ordered him dealt with personally. Khalil's jaw tightened, old memories surfacing slowly. He had been young then, not yet fully in control of the organization, but he remembered the tension surrounding that particular incident. The quiet warnings never to speak of it openly again. "Layla is his sister," Marwan confirmed quietly. "She's been trying to uncover what really happened to her brother. That's why she took this position, why she's been watching, listening, gathering whatever information she could find." Khalil sat back slowly, absorbing this new, complicated truth. Layla wasn't simply a curious housekeeper who happened to understand Arabic. She had walked directly into his home with a specific, personal purpose, one deeply tied to his own family's dangerous history. He called her to his office immediately, his expression unreadable as she entered nervously, sensing instantly that something serious had changed. "Sit down, Layla," he said calmly, though firmness lay clearly beneath his controlled tone. "Or should I say, Layla Haddad?" Layla's face paled instantly, all remaining hope of continued secrecy vanishing completely. She sat slowly, her hands trembling slightly in her lap. "You know," she said quietly, not really a question. "I know your brother worked for my father's organization," Khalil said directly. "I know he disappeared under circumstances still unclear to me personally, though clearly not unclear to you. Tell me exactly why you're really here." Layla took a deep breath, deciding finally that honesty was her only remaining option. "My brother left one day and never came back," she said, her voice trembling with old, painful emotion. "My family received no explanation, no answers, just silence and fear whenever we tried asking questions. I took this job hoping to finally learn the truth about what happened to him." Khalil studied her carefully, sensing genuine pain behind her words, yet also recognizing the serious danger her presence potentially represented to his organization's carefully guarded secrets. "And what have you learned so far?" he asked directly. "Enough to know that whatever happened, it was serious," Layla admitted honestly, "but not enough to know exactly what happened to my brother, or if he's even still alive." Before Khalil could respond further, Marwan re-entered the room hurriedly, his expression alarmed. "Sir, we have a problem," Marwan said urgently. "Layla's presence here, her real identity, it's been discovered by someone outside our organization. Rashid intercepted a message meant for a rival family, revealing exactly who she is and why she's here." Khalil's expression darkened instantly. "Who sent it?" "Unclear yet," Marwan admitted. "But if rival families learn a Haddad is inside your household, uncovering old secrets, they might use her as leverage against you. Or worse, eliminate her entirely to bury the truth permanently." Layla's breath caught fearfully at this new, dangerous revelation. She had never intended to place herself in additional danger beyond her original quiet investigation. Khalil stood quickly, his mind racing through immediate security concerns. Despite his earlier suspicion and justified anger at her deception, he found himself unable to ignore the very real danger she now faced because of her connection to his organization's past. "Increase security around her immediately," Khalil ordered firmly. "Nobody outside this house learns her true location." "Sir," Marwan said carefully, clearly surprised by Khalil's protective response despite Layla's obvious deception. "Are you certain? She lied to gain access to your household." "She had good reason," Khalil said simply, his tone leaving no room for further argument. "And regardless of her reasons, I won't allow her to be harmed because of secrets from my father's past mistakes." Layla stared at Khalil, stunned by his unexpected protectiveness despite everything he had just discovered about her deception. "Why would you protect me?" she asked quietly, genuine confusion evident in her voice. Khalil turned to her, his expression complicated, torn between lingering suspicion and unexpected concern. "Because whatever happened to your brother, it wasn't your fault, and it clearly still haunts your family deeply. I may not fully trust you yet, Layla, but I won't let old mistakes cost you your life." Before Layla could respond further, the sound of shattering glass suddenly echoed from downstairs, followed immediately by urgent shouting among the household staff. "They're already here," Marwan said grimly, rushing toward the door. "Rival men, storming the property." Khalil's expression hardened instantly, with fierce determination, positioning himself protectively near Layla. "Stay close to me," he ordered firmly. "Whatever happens next, I won't let them reach you." Layla nodded quickly, her heart pounding with fear, yet strangely also with unexpected trust toward the powerful, complicated man now determined to protect her, despite everything standing dangerously between them. Shouts echoed through the mansion as Khalil pulled Layla quickly from the office, moving with practiced urgency through a hidden hallway passage most guests never knew existed. Marwan rushed ahead, barking orders to the security team, scrambling to respond to the sudden intrusion. "How many?" Khalil demanded, pressing Layla gently against the wall of the hidden passage, positioning his body protectively in front of her. "At least 6, maybe more," Marwan reported through his earpiece, his voice tense. "They came through the east gate. Rashid's men are engaging them now." Gunfire erupted somewhere below, the sound muffled but unmistakable through the mansion's thick walls. Layla's whole body trembled, though she forced herself to remain quiet, trusting Khalil's steady, calculated presence beside her. "Why now?" Khalil muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Why attack tonight specifically?" "Because they know about her," Marwan said grimly, glancing toward Layla. "If word spread that a Haddad is inside asking questions about the past, someone wants her silenced before she learns anything more, or before you learn the full truth alongside her." Khalil's jaw tightened. "Someone inside our own organization tipped them off." "That's my thought as well," Marwan admitted. "Tariq, perhaps. He's been unusually distant these past weeks." Khalil filed the thought away carefully, his priority remaining Layla's immediate safety. "Get her to the safe room. I'll handle things downstairs." "No," Layla said suddenly, surprising both men with the firmness in her voice despite her obvious fear. "I understand Arabic better than any of your men realize. If they're communicating right now, I can help figure out exactly what they're planning." Khalil studied her for a brief moment, weighing the danger against the potential advantage. "Stay behind me completely," he said finally. "Marwan, get her a headset. If she hears anything useful, she reports immediately." Marwan hesitated only a second before complying, handing Layla a small earpiece connected to the security channel. Almost immediately, voices crackled through, speaking urgently in Arabic, coordinating movements through the mansion's lower floors. "They're moving toward the west wing," Layla said quickly, her focus sharp despite her racing heart. "One of them just said something about checking the upper floors next. They think you're hiding somewhere near the bedrooms." Khalil's eyes widened slightly, impressed despite the danger surrounding them. "That's exactly the opposite direction of where we're standing." "Good. Marwan, redirect our men to intercept them there." Marwan relayed the information quickly, and within minutes, the sound of confrontation shifted away from their position, Khalil's men successfully engaging the intruders exactly where Layla predicted. "There's something else," Layla said suddenly, her expression tightening with alarm. "They just mentioned a name. Tariq. They said he confirmed the layout of the house." Khalil's suspicion solidified instantly into confirmed betrayal. "Tariq sold us out." "What do we do?" Marwan asked urgently. "Find him," Khalil said coldly. "Immediately. And make sure he doesn't escape." The firefight continued for several more tense minutes before gradually quieting, Khalil's men slowly gaining control of the situation as the intruders realized their surprise attack had failed completely. Eventually, Marco's voice, "No, wait." Marwan's voice confirmed through the earpiece that the immediate threat had been neutralized, several attackers captured, Others fled into the night. Khalil finally allowed himself a breath of relief, turning to look at Layla directly, genuine gratitude clear in his tired eyes. "You helped save lives tonight," he said quietly. "Including mine." Layla nodded slowly, exhaustion and lingering fear evident on her face. "I just wanted to help. Despite everything between us, I never wanted anyone hurt." Khalil studied her carefully, the complicated tension between suspicion and growing respect shifting further towards something warmer, more genuine. "Come," he said gently. "It's safer downstairs now. We need to talk properly, without danger interrupting us again." They made their way down to his private study, the mansion gradually returning to quiet calm as his men secured the property fully. Once seated, Khalil poured 2 glasses of water, offering one to Layla before sitting across from her. "Tarek's betrayal explains a lot," Khalil said quietly. "He's likely been feeding information to a rival family for weeks, possibly longer. Tonight's attack, the exposure of your identity, it's all connected." "What happens to him?" Layla asked carefully. "He'll answer for his betrayal," Khalil said simply, his tone leaving little room for further discussion on that particular matter. "But right now, I'm more concerned about your safety and about finally uncovering the truth about your brother." Layla looked up, surprised. "You're willing to help me find out what happened to him? You risked your life tonight for people who initially suspected and distrusted you completely," Khalil said honestly. "The least I can do is help you find the answers you came here seeking in the first place." Layla felt tears building unexpectedly in her eyes, months of anxious searching finally feeling closer to resolution. "Thank you," she whispered softly. Khalil reached across the table, gently taking her trembling hand in his own. "We'll find the truth together, Layla. But first, we need to make sure Tarek and whoever he's working with can't hurt anyone else, especially not you." As their eyes met, something unspoken passed quietly between them, a growing connection built unexpectedly from danger, deception, and now, finally, genuine trust. Outside, the night remained tense with lingering danger, Tarek's betrayal and the truth about Layla's brother both waiting to be fully uncovered. But for the first time since arriving at the mansion, Layla felt something unexpected settle quietly in her heart alongside her fear. Hope. By morning, Khalil's men had captured Tarek attempting to flee the city. Brought before Khalil in a private room away from the rest of the household, Tarek's confident betrayal quickly crumbled into desperate confession once faced directly with the consequences of his actions. "I only gave them small details," Tarek pleaded, his voice trembling. "I didn't know they planned an attack. I swear it." "You knew enough," Khalil said coldly, his patience long since exhausted. "You told them about Layla. You put her life directly at risk." Tarek's eyes flickered toward Layla, standing quietly near the doorway, and something in his expression shifted from fear to something closer to guilt. "Haddad," he muttered, "I remember your brother." Layla stepped forward immediately, her heart pounding. "What do you know about him?" Tarek hesitated, glancing nervously at Khalil, clearly weighing how much honesty might improve his own dangerous situation. "Omar didn't betray the organization," he said finally. "He discovered something instead, something about illegal weapons being sold to people who shouldn't have had access to them. Children, entire families were hurt because of that shipment. Omar tried to stop it, tried to expose it internally, but the men involved silenced him permanently before he could take it further. They blamed him for the leak he was actually trying to prevent." Layla's breath caught, tears finally spilling freely down her cheeks after years of painful uncertainty. Her brother hadn't betrayed anyone. He had tried to do something right, something brave, and it had cost him everything. "Who gave that order?" Khalil demanded sharply, already suspecting the painful answer. Tarek hesitated once more before finally admitting quietly, "Your father, Khalil. He believed protecting the organization's reputation mattered more than the truth." The room fell into heavy silence. Khalil absorbed this difficult truth carefully, old assumptions about his father's leadership shifting uncomfortably under this new, painful revelation. He turned toward Layla, genuine sorrow and regret evident in his tired eyes. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Your brother deserved better. He deserved recognition, not the shame my father's organization placed upon his memory." Layla wiped her tears carefully, feeling a strange mixture of grief and relief finally washing over her exhausted heart. "Thank you for helping me learn the truth," she said softly. "Even though it's painful, at least now I finally know." Khalil nodded solemnly before turning back to deal with Tariq's ongoing betrayal, ensuring proper consequences would follow, while also ensuring the true story of Omar Haddad's bravery would finally be acknowledged honestly within the organization's private history. In the days that followed, with Tariq's betrayal fully resolved and the rival family's immediate threat neutralized, life within the mansion gradually returned to a calmer rhythm. Yet everything between Khalil and Layla had changed completely. No longer hiding behind secrets or suspicion, they found themselves spending more time together, genuine conversations replacing the previous tension and careful deception. Khalil found himself drawn to Layla's quiet strength, her intelligence, and the courage she had shown throughout their dangerous, complicated journey toward truth. One quiet evening, they sat together on the mansion's private balcony, overlooking the peaceful city lights below. "I never expected any of this," Khalil admitted honestly, glancing toward her. "Not the danger, not the betrayal, and certainly not this." He gestured quietly between them. Layla smiled softly, genuine warmth evident in her tired but peaceful expression. "Neither did I. I came here seeking answers about my brother, prepared to leave the moment I found them. I never expected to find something else entirely." "And what exactly did you find?" Khalil asked quietly, genuine curiosity and hope evident in his voice. Layla considered her answer carefully before responding honestly. "I found someone who, despite his complicated, dangerous world, still values truth and justice deeply. Someone willing to help me find closure, even when it meant confronting difficult truths about his own family's past mistakes." Khalil reached for her hand gently, his usually guarded expression now open and genuine. "I found something too," he admitted quietly. "Someone brave enough to hide in plain sight, patient enough to seek truth carefully, and honest enough to trust me completely once given the chance." They sat quietly together, the tension and danger of recent weeks finally settling into peaceful calm between them. Two languages, two very different worlds, had finally merged into a single, genuine connection built on complete honesty and mutual respect. "What happens now?" Layla asked softly, looking toward him directly. Khalil considered the question carefully before responding honestly. "Now we build something new. Something built entirely on trust, without secrets, without deception." Layla smiled gently, genuine happiness evident for the first time since arriving nervously at the mansion weeks earlier. "I'd like that very much." Khalil leaned closer, gently taking her other hand as well, looking directly into her eyes with quiet sincerity. "Layla Haddad," he said softly, "thank you for teaching me that trust, truth, and genuine connection matter far more than the careful secrecy I've always relied upon." Layla squeezed his hands gently, her heart finally feeling complete after years of painful uncertainty and dangerous secrecy. "Thank you for helping me finally find peace, Khalil, for my brother's memory, and for myself." As the evening stars slowly emerged above the peaceful city, Khalil and Layla sat quietly together, their complicated journey through danger, deception, and hidden secrets finally settling into genuine understanding and lasting trust. From that night onward, Khalil Nasser was no longer simply the feared, cautious Mafia boss who trusted no one completely. He became known privately, quietly, as a man who had finally found genuine happiness and trust, built entirely upon two languages, complicated secrets, and ultimately, one shared, honest heart.